Hello, my lovely friends. We're here today at Legends Gym. We want to be ZenJacked, so we can't be ZenJacked without having big legs now, can we? Because we're talking about being balanced. We're talking about having every facet developed. Aren't you scared of having skinny, small, weak little legs? I should be if I were you. So what are we going to do about it? Yeah, we got to man up and we got to train. Because you know what? The girls are training harder than us, guys. That's right. Girls are showing us the way in not only how to train with good form, good exercise choice, but also how to push past pain. I saw a lady in the gym. She must have been in her 70s. She probably did like 14 forced reps. I couldn't believe it. She put most guys to shame. So we're going to learn to train like the ladies. We're going to push past the pain. We're going to build some quads. It doesn't matter if we got bad knees or we're old or we're limited with time. We're going to do it anyway. Okay, if you do have bad knees and bad hips, and even if you don't, you want to train hard and you want to warm up quite quickly, the bike's where it's at. Put it on a decent tension. We got a fan bike right here. Love the fan bike. I can see I can warm up my upper body if I'm just doing that. What a great way to warm up your upper body. And obviously warm up the lower body. Getting some blood in around the joints. I'm trying to activate the glutes a little bit, and you'll see that with my warm-up. But not only that, I'm trying to get my heart rate up a little bit so that by the time I do a hard set in a muscle building workout, it's not going to be a big shock to my heart. So you gotta get your first wind going in your warm-up. Get a little bit out of breath. And push a little bit. This is really the first activation set, if you think about it. Don't need long. Certainly don't need to really get a big sweat on, but I do need to get some blood pumping. And so now, get into my mobility. And getting great legs with bad knees. I'm thinking of being nobility. Pretty proud of myself for doing this consistently, and so should you be. There's a million and one excuses. I could have just said my knees are too bad. Can't train legs. I'm just going to have massive arms and skinny legs. What do you think? Is that acceptable? Terrifying. Whenever my heart rate's high, I just want to breathe nice and deep and slow and bring it down. Just doing my kicks, roughly about 20, till I feel a little bit of a burn in the joint. Got to be careful with this left hip. Reminds me every day when I turn over in bed, clunk, grind. And guys, I do this every day, this mobility stuff. I wonder what I'd be like without it. So, you may not make the pain go away completely, but you can really get everything working as well as it can be. This is kind of like a Cossack squat. Whatever they call it. Getting my inner thighs warmed up. So I'm just going backwards and forwards here. Not really counting, but again, maybe 20. And We'll be done in a second here. Kind of getting all the angles and start challenging my quads a little bit. Activating my glutes. See, I'm not worried about pre-fatiguing my legs to the point where I'm going to lift less weight. In fact, I kind of want that. I don't want any joint pain in these kind of motions. I want to feel motions that feel good to me. And basically, I'm going to add weight to these feel-good motions and push myself close to failure. Don't need to do a whole lot of static stretching, but that mobility, activation, heart rate up, that's a great warm-up for legs. Make sure your hips and knees don't get any further damage. Okay, so we're going to start with hamstrings. And the reason I'm doing this is because hamstrings are going to link to some glute work, which is going to link to some quad work. And we're gradually easing ourselves into the heavy pressing, heavy quad work. We're going to start off with a nice RDL. It's going to work my glutes, it's going to work my lower backs, especially my hamstrings. And I'm going to superset this RDL with a seated leg curl. And you'll see with the seated leg curls, I'm really working on peak contraction. I'm shortening the muscle. I'm challenging the muscle. I'm breaking it down. And then with the RDLs, I'm lengthening the muscle and I'm challenging it in a different range of motion. Here we go for the first superset, seated leg curls and RDLs. We're on seated leg curls and we want to make sure that we're locked in. We want to make sure that the pads sat right on our heels. We want to make sure that the knees in good relationship with the seat right here, that our seat back is in a good position. So I'm just going to do a couple of reps just to make sure I don't need to adjust it. Good. I'm going to feel that that's a weight that I can easily squeeze down with both legs. But if I try to raise just with one leg, it's really hard. And so right away, by doing the eccentric, that's the lowering part. In this case, it's the raising part, but I'm contracting, I'm lengthening, squeezing down with both. I'm coming up just 90% with the left leg, working, pulling down with both, 90% with the right leg. Good. And every 5 reps or so, I'm going to squeeze it down there. I'm going to hold it for 5 seconds, peak contraction, just like we do with the other body parts, up with the left. And by the time I'm getting close to the end of this set, 15 to 20 reps, man, it's starting to get really hard. Taking my time, you know, because we're not doing too many sets, but we're extending the set to make the most stimulation we can. And here's another hold and squeeze. Really start getting some pain in there now. Going mostly down with the right leg, mostly down with the left, really challenging it close to the end. Yeah, it's the first set, but why can't I make it real hard? Down and squeeze one more time. Oh yeah, nice stretch right here. Maybe a couple of reps with a full stretch. You know, I'm always extending the sets. Oh, nice. Not going to go too bonkers on this first set right here. Coming over to the RDLs. Do a little sample rep just to see where we are. Now you can use dumbbells, you can use a barbell. And what we're trying to do, if you imagine you got a foam roller on your thigh and you're rolling the foam roller down your leg. That's what we're trying to do with the RDLs as we get our rear end going back. Our chest stays lifted, so here we go. Keeping the hands pretty close to the legs, nice slow down and then coming up with some nice force. And I'm really thinking the force is going through here and here, guys. You're stretching with the weight, and then up. Stretch with that weight. Up we go. Now don't jerk it up, and you keep that rear end sticking out. There we go. And I might find a really nice mid-range here. If I'm feeling like that's really getting it, then I'm going to pump that. Maybe hold it, stamp on my right heel, stamp on my left heel. Yeah. Oh, I've got it now. Stretching with the weight. Oh, there it is. Great set. So we're not really trying to get close to failure right there, but we are putting a stretch through the muscle, challenging that hamstring right there. The combination is very effective. You know, the one thing I don't talk about a lot is how good equipment actually leads to new muscle mass growth. So if you've been training a while, you've been training on a certain type of equipment, you've been training with a certain style, your body's used to it. But to me, when you come to a really awesome piece of equipment like this standing hammer leg curl, you find that the contractions you get are so unique, are so challenging, that you're bound to get growth as long as you push yourself to a certain level. So I'm going to jump on here. I've already done my seated leg curl with my RDLs. I've really stretched out and contracted that hamstring. So my hamstrings are fairly hammered. So I want to come and finish them off here. Making sure I get a full stretch and then up and squeezing as hard as I can. Now it's heavy, so I'm probably going to do a drop set here. It's going to be hard for me to get 5 and be able to hold it. I'm getting one of those holds in here. You can already see that it's starting to get pretty hard. So I'm going to take that one off. I'm going to carry on. Oh my goodness. The contractions are so good. I'm definitely fatigued here. Getting another hold in here, holding as high as I can, getting lower in the rep range here, really going to partials. You can see I'm pretty much at failure. I don't want to jerk it too much. I'm going to get one last little hold. Yeah. And that's how you smash hamstrings and get new growth. Okay, so we got choices, and this is where some of the genius comes in as to the exercise selection. But, you know, I'm torn between doing a hyperextension, which is going to finish my hamstrings, get through my glutes, and get into my lower back, or I can do a little bit more deadlifting, and I would do another set of RDLs. Today I'm going for variety. I'm going to really trash my hamstrings, but on another day I'd probably do a second set of RDLs and not do this, okay? Just telling you, that's what goes through my mind. Okay, pro tip when it comes to hitting glutes, hamstrings, and finishing off this part of the workout. So if I'm doing hyperextensions right here and I'm really focused on the hamstring part of it, I want my hips to be way ahead of the pad right here. See? I've got a good 4-6 inches. Some guys might say that's 8, but that's their problem. There's 4 or 6 inches right there. It's not that much, but it's enough for me to hinge here, see? But if I've got the pad higher and my hip is closer to the pad, this gets in the way and my round my back, which is great if I want to really target the glutes, but without the hamstrings. But I'm really going for that hamstring finish, so I'm going to lower the pad. So I'm using a weight right here, but watch. To get the hamstrings, I want to really lift the chest right here. I want to get the sway back in my lower back. See that? Dead flat. If I do it like this, I'm really pulling my glutes. I know you guys want to focus on that a lot sometimes, but again, if I'm hitting hamstrings first, I want a long back right here. And in a full stretch, this part of the motion is money right there. I don't need to come too high. I'm really stretching with the weight again. I'm going to hold, keeping the chest lifted, focus on the hamstrings. Oh my goodness. Oh. And then as I get tired with the dumbbell right there, I'm going to let that go. And then I'm going to do a few more hard reps. My glutes are on fire. My hamstrings are fried. And 3 to 4 sets. My hamstrings, glutes, lower back pretty much is done. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so this is really where the work needs to get smart if your hips and your knees hurt you, like mine do. I'm trying to find a motion that gives me the least amount of aggravation, and everything needs to be lined up. My knees need to be lined up with my toes, and I need to make sure I'm pushing in a linear motion here with this one-legged leg press. So my ghost leg is on there. I could take it off, but I don't really want to scare myself here. I don't really want there to be any tweaks. And I'm going to feel that I'm gradually taking all the load on one leg. This hip really does need to be built up in terms of the push that's going through it. I can feel little things in there that just need to wake up with a few reps. But again, I want this really full range of motion. I don't want too much at the top range, but I do want this deep stretch. And I want to get to the point where I'm pushing really hard and I'm comfortable with that motion. See? I've got the left side going. I can see exactly where my foot position is. I know where my knee is set. I feel like my body is comfortable to just push all the weight through that one leg. When we get into the big sets, we're going to do the set hold. Won't be able to talk much through that because it's a lot of pain. But we're only talking about light weights, guys. We're making light weights feel heavy. So there. I feel like I'm warmed up. I'm ready to go. I feel like my weight's fine. There's not a lot of weight on there, but I don't care. I care about how much strain is going through those quads. Let's move over to the leg extension. I'm going to show you how to literally liquefy those quads so that when you come over here after having done that pre-exhaust, this lightweight feels like 1,000 pounds and you're going to get massive growth out of it. Okay, the leg extension machine. Boy, I've had a love-hate relationship with this machine throughout my career, but mostly love, especially when I've come to learn to love the pain that I need to go through to get growth from this exercise. Now, I used to think this was a finishing exercise, but it's not. It's a starting exercise, it's a mass building exercise, and it's a setup exercise. We talk about activation all the time. Well, when you got bad knees or bad hips, you cannot do heavy compound motions. You can't. It's going to hurt and it's going to make your joints worse. So how do we get the most out of a little? We use this technique on this machine. Hopefully you got a leg extension that gives you a full range of motion, i.e. my heels start up pretty much near my butt and the travel is extensive. Doesn't have to be heavy, again, if you're using the right technique, because what I'm doing is I'm the opposite of the leg press. I'm actually focused on the peak contraction. Yeah, I'm going to get something out of the bottom part of the motion, but really the maximum stress on the muscle comes at the peak contraction part. And so for every 5 reps I do, roughly, I'm going to hold for 5 seconds. But I'm always trying to get that contraction as high, those toes as high as I can, the contraction as hard as I can. Breath is important, guys, because it's very high cardio work. Your heart rate's going to get really, really high. And that's why you do need to have good heart and lungs to be able to get the most out of your leg training, because if your heart and lungs are weak, you're not going to be able to push the way you want to. And again, getting more out of it, if I lower with 1, up with 2, see that? Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, it's just a fortitude test, guys. It's just a bit of pain. I know the muscles aren't tearing off the bone. I know I'm not going to die. So what? I see 75-year-old ladies in the gym pushing through the pain. Why? Because they know what pain's like and they can push through it. Some of you guys, you talk about getting big legs, but you're not prepared to go through the pain. Now going straight over to the leg press to get some growth. So when I do a pre-exhaust, I'm trying to go from my single joint motion, the leg extension, to my compound motion pretty quick. Here's that set hold. It's brutal. Coming up 2 inches from the bottom and then holding for 5 seconds. I'm not going to lie, the knee does hurt a little bit, but I can tell you guys this is the minimum pain that I get. But all the pain is in the quad muscles. Oh, that's the left leg done. It's just a bit of pain. It's not a lot of weight. Big stretch, big confident push. Focused on the muscles. There's that set. Go to a happy place. Oh my goodness. If I can get 3 sets like that, maybe even 2, I'm gonna get growth. Okay, my legs are pretty much fried, and I would be excused to leave the gym and think that I've sent the signal for growth. But I'm gonna make sure I finish the job, because we all gotta be sure that we gave our best. The finishing exercise, the perfect finishing exercise, is a Bulgarian squat, a split squat, whatever you want to call it. But as you can see, I'm doing it from what you call a deficit. So I've set up a step riser right here. I've got my bench behind me, but look at this angle of my femur right here. It's down real low, so when I push with force, man, there's so much, not only strain on the quad, but I got my glute in a full stretch, so I'm gonna get glute growth out of it. I don't need a whole lot of weight there, guys. I am gonna do some weight, but we don't need a whole lot. That strict motion is an unbelievable finisher. Don't sleep on the back leg. It's getting a lot of work. The quad is lengthening. It's working your hip flexors. And boy, it's making you stay strict. And because we have hip and knee issues, staying balanced and staying stable in the exercise is paramount. I see people setting up for exercise all the time and they don't balance very well. Maybe they're afraid of looking silly by using various things for balance. It's not silly. Once I've found a stable position, then I can go harder without hurting myself. Here we go. See, now I got no knee pain here and I can push. There's that hold. The deficit. Pretty much the end of the workout. I'm pushing. Oh my goodness. Drop the weight. A few more reps. That's how you get big legs with bad knees and hips, guys. What do you think? I tell you what, that could be my greatest triumph in life. Not giving in to the bad joints excuse. Rehab them, warm up correctly, have better posture, and train hard, man. And you can grow under almost any circumstances if you're smart. Big stretch. Hey, it's calf training. Now I've got to do it. You might not need to. I would check in the mirror and you probably already know the answer to this. Do you have genetically beautiful calves? Or are they a little skinny like mine? If they're genetically beautiful and full and strong like my wife, you don't really need to train them. She just enjoys training them to show me up. But for me, anybody else who wants to build their calves a little bit, you have to smash them. They don't need that many sets, but they do need high intensity. So what I like to do is I like to mess around with some variety of different motions. And this one, once I can unlock it, the seated calf, most people do it in a very vanilla way. They just do all the way up, all the way down. But there's various ways, as you've already found with my training, to mess with the muscle a little bit. So at the top of the 5th rep, we're going to pause and we're going to hold and squeeze as much as we possibly can. We can do the same just above the bottom of the rep. Come down all the way, pushing up just a little bit, and you can hold that for 5 seconds. Again, it just makes it more challenging. Now I can turn my heels in and get the inner part of my calf, or I can turn my knees, my toes in and my heels out and get more of the outer part of my calf. So I'm going to do all of those different techniques throughout my set. Every 5th rep, pause in the squeeze, get a little bit more out of it, and then at the end, different little pulses at different range of motion. Taking the set as far as you can with the stretches, with the holds, until it's almost impossible to rack it again. Then I'm going to change the angle a little bit. I'm going to come around, get into a stretch position on the block here. I'm just turning around right here, and with a butt out position, I'm going to do some more reps. And how about this? I just do my right leg for 3 to 5, which is real hard. See how you can do so many different things to mess with the muscle, guys. Just by changing my spine angle, I change the angle on the calf. Again, a nice 5-second squeeze. And I can do the same at the bottom here. Go up 1 inch up from the bottom stretch. If I bend my knee, it creates a slight challenge and more of a battle for that calf. See, I'm just going to mess with it and push it until I can hardly stand up on it, and do the same on the other side. See, I'm not in a hurry to finish the set. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm taking these few extra seconds. This is what causes the growth, guys, when you've got stubborn calves, God knows like I do. And you know, I still love them. Let's face it. They got me through a few miles in my life, so no matter how you're working on developing yourself, love your body, push it, but love it. I talked a while ago about training with the minimum +1. So what's the minimum on a calf workout? Well, we did a superset with one machine, but with 2 different exercises on that one machine, and went to failure on both. That would be our minimum. The +1 is we're going to a one-legged toe press. And again, I'm messing with the muscle. I'm changing the foot angle a little bit. Now with my knees the way they are, I got to be careful. I don't want to put too much weight down the inside of my knee. Sometimes when I train my calf, I do irritate that knee just a little bit. So again, I'm trying to find a motion that feels good. If I turn my heel out a little bit, I'm just really focused on the left side, and the right side is just giving it a little help. Now you can just do a straightforward toe press. 5 reps. And then a squeeze. It might just be enough, guys, to be as intense as you need it. You know, and you get up to 15, 20 reps. And actually, I'm feeling mine right away. But I do like to give it a little extra on each one. That's just my nature. I think when you've always had a lagging body part, you tend to try to push it a little further, do a little extra. I'm trying not to do too much more volume. So that one's kind of equaled up with the other one. Maybe get 10 more reps. Shout out to my old coach, Steve Sylvester from Nottingham, England. Steve, I love you. You're probably not with us anymore. Probably about 110 years old by now. But Steve knew how to push me. He would wait till I get exhausted and I started feeling sorry for myself. He'd tell me to do 15 more. And I would do 15 more. So all you talking about having reps in the tank, you think you're pushing a failure. I remind you of that 75-year-old lady. She might have been older, in the gym the other day, smashing it, 15 extra force reps. So what's your excuse? Well, bad knees, bad hips, and sometimes a bad attitude. But you can get big legs. You can get average calves, having had terrible calves, but you can build yourself up no matter what your limitations are. Come on, let's go.